Hey everybody, Chris here. Dogecoin is losing its momentum. We're going to talk about that in this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when new videos come out as well as when I do live streams. And I'll be live again Wednesday afternoon, 4 o'clock p.m. East Coast time. Make sure you're subscribed. You've got your notifications on to join in on the bigger discussion. Right now, I'm talking about losing momentum. That's not what you want to hear unless you're one of those trying to buy back in at a lower price. But over half of crypto Twitter and most of YouTube are all bullish, right? Talking about making lots of money and 10x's and 100x's and all of that stuff. And I would probably make more money off of YouTube if I joined in and had all of this bullishness and get all these new followers and all that. But you know how I am. I try and keep things real here. And we've lost our momentum. I mean, the chart shows we've lost the momentum. 922 on Doge here was our targeted move from our fib extension. And Doge is now at 8.6. So yes, we have lost the momentum. Bitcoin is still up around 78.2, which is its targeted move from the fib extension. And we're still trying to figure out on the bigger scale here whether this is a bull trap, and this was the top here right at 81K with Bitcoin starting to move down. Yeah, Bitcoin's, I guess, lost its momentum in that sense, but it's still a short-term time frame that's on the hourly. So we go to the 4-hour chart and we'll see a little better, but yeah, it's kind of drifting down a little bit. And then this is the overall channel we're looking at, whether that is indeed a bull trap or will there be continuation. And we'll look at what others think about what levels Bitcoin would need to reach in order to stay bull. We do have ETH at 2450, so it's slowing down as well. XRP has moved down to $1.40 here. Again, also losing its momentum. So that is the theme right now with crypto. Many could say accumulation time right here, or crypto taking a breather here. But in my view, this is starting to turn downwards. Now, nobody predicted this 40% move to happen here in the middle of August. Some were predicting a slight move up, but most were waiting for the big capitulation in October, which would be the 4-year cycle, and how the 4-year cycle would end. And all of that could still happen, but most of those have all flipped bullish. They've all turned bullish. So we have that. Now, we can turn on our super trend here, and we can go to the weekly. This is, again, what Ivan on Tech calls his money line, but you can get it here on TradingView just by turning on Super Trend, and it's up over 10 cents. So we'd have to close the weekly over 10 cents for Dogecoin to turn bullish. And on the Bull Mania money line or the Super Trend here on TradingView, whatever you call it, Bitcoin as well has not flipped bullish. On the weekly, there is a slight green here on Bitcoin's weekly candle, but it would have to close the week above 79.7 in order to flip bullish. Now, some already have, like we said yesterday, ETH has already flipped bullish, and XRP has flipped bullish as well. And in order to turn bearish, XRP would have to go back to $1, just below $1. But if XRP goes back to $1, you all are going to be bears. I will as well, or will continue to be a bear, because I still think we're in an overall bear market still. But the actual money line or the super trend here won't turn back to red unless XRP goes all the way back down. So that's the overall view as we start here. The Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Dogecoin retreat, even as greed sentiment prevails. So the fear and greed index is still in greed, and that's just because of the strength of the large move that happened last week, you go up 30–40%, you're going to be in greed. It's going to take a while for that to flip down to neutral and then back to fear as we go out the next week or so. Again, I said this is a bigger, you got to look at the bigger time frame to let this thing play out and see what happens. And I have, of course, since April, I've been talking about first week of September being one of those times to buy on dips, and we're a week away from that. Jim Cramer this morning said, I sense a monumental day. We have PCE inflation coming out. That's probably going to meet expectation, what, 3.6%, whatever. If it goes up higher, that's bad for the markets. If it's lower, that's good for the markets, you would think. But the markets have a tendency to not do what you think they're going to do. And of course, the reverse Cramer rule would mean that if it's a monumental day that he says, meaning we could be bracing ourselves for a not so good day. Bitcoin's 80K breakout is running into heavy profit taking, which we saw yesterday. I talked about the big sell wall, and Bitcoin was trying to get up to 81K and was nipping away at that big sell wall. CryptoQuant says ETF inflows, lower treasury yields continue supporting demand. However, on-chain data shows profitable holders are increasingly realizing gains near current levels, which means Bitcoin could drift lower as that profit taking ends, and the buyers are not coming in because they're waiting for a lower price. They're waiting for a retrace. And there will be slow buying, but the institutions, that demand could continue. And if we see that, then Bitcoin could target its next move up. If the demand absorbs the selling. So that's a tune that we'll be watching going forward. This is one of the possible scenarios for Bitcoin. Would you survive a drop like this? Would you survive Bitcoin going down and hitting a new cycle low? Again, we still have lower highs. Bitcoin went up to 81K. We looked at the May high, and again, we can go back to the Bitcoin on the daily chart, and we could see back, this move up to 81K was not as high as we had back here in May, where we were at like 82.6. So that high there, this is a lower high. Still a lower high on the chart. So that means lower highs and lower lows. Bear market confirmation, according to Max Crypto, is the 365-day VWAP. He says the bull market confirmation back in early 2023 was hit once Bitcoin came up over the 365-day VWAP. Came back and retested it and then moved higher. So here we are, 365-day VWAP is right there. We're so close. So this is the next level for Bitcoin in order to confirm bull market. We are not there yet, according to this chart. So now when Bitcoin lost the 365-day VWAP, that was a confirmation of bear market. We were already below 100K then, and this was the beginning of November. This is about the time I recall I flipped bearish as well. It was right around that time, end of October, beginning of November, when all the sites were saying this is bear market. And so that is one area to look at. Another would be, again, going back to the May, 82,600. So that is the key resistance. So if Bitcoin can move above that, if it did that, moved up to 84, 85, we'd probably come retest as support and move higher. That would be very bullish. Right now, I see momentum is slowing down, and we could be retracing instead of doing that. So that's another thing to look at. Here's a third, is the 100-week EMA. Again, we can go back to 2023, and we can see early 2023, Bitcoin moved above the 100-week EMA. That's the exponential moving average. Came back and retested it in 2024, retested it in 2025 and then lost it here in early 2026. Now, I had already flipped bearish up here, but this was the move, and this is for the whole crypto market. So this is all crypto market cap is what this chart is. We haven't come back over that 100-week EMA on this is total crypto market cap. So that would be a move we would be looking for overall crypto coming into a bull market, and we aren't there yet. So you put all those together and you're like, well, that's one view, right? What's looking at the next things that we would have to accomplish in order to confirm bull market. But would you survive if Bitcoin instead moved back lower? Like many are calling for into October. The Bart Simpson, we're doing the Bart Simpson thing right here. We could continue that, sort of chop around, but overall, the backside of that would be the Bart head and moving lower. And does that become, we'll look at that. We'll look at that. Dogecoin, meanwhile, it surged 43%. Awesome. Hit 10 cents briefly. From 7 cents. Remember we were at 6.9 cents. Remember that? That wasn't too long ago. It had massive volume, biggest daily gain in months before pulling back to 892. The rally cleared shorter-term moving averages at 735 and 779, but stalled at 9.5. A zone overlapping historically significant trading, 9.5 to 10. We went to 10. That was awesome, but we have hit resistance. If we zoom out and we look at the overall trend, again from late 2024, the second move up in 2025 into late September, early October before 1010 and the whole market structure broke down. Here in 2025, that was the next move up. So we had again the second move that was early 2025, and when that failed, again that was all based on the Trump and the Trump token and tariffs and all of that broke down the economy there. We had our move up in 2025, and we were expecting to see higher highs again, and instead we had 1010, which blew up the whole market. The whole structure came down, so we end up with this falling wedge. So here we are now in this price compression as the wedge tightens. Buyers defending the lower trend line. A breakout above the falling resistance could trigger a strong reversal. Bulls are waiting for confirmation. So we need to get back up. We need to come back over like 12 cents or so here in order to break out of the falling wedge. So we will continue to watch that for confirmation. Meanwhile, spot Dogecoin ETFs, we had another day of inflows. So we've had 2 out of the last 3 days. 2 out of the last 3 days, we've had buying of the Dogecoin ETFs. As I said, we would see that once we see the Dogecoin price going up, and that has indeed happened. It's not a lot, right? It's $146,000. It's not millions or billions of dollars. XRP, their ETFs are doing great. Solana ETFs doing great. Doge is lagging, but we will wait until we see consistent FOMO for Doge, and we will get capital rotating into Dogecoin. So that is going to be coming. It's going to take a little while. Meanwhile, meme coins, including Doge, but we had Sheeb and Pepe and others, are losing their bullish momentum after last week's double-digit gains. Facing downward pressure amid profit-taking, Doge, Pepe, and others risk further decline. Dogecoin is capped below 10 cents now. That is the strong resistance line. Dogecoin trades around 8.6 now, reflecting a pullback phase after last week's 35% rally, capped near the 10-cent psychological level. Doge holds above the 50-day EMA, but remains below the 200-day EMA. A confirmed breakout above the 200-day EMA at 9.5. And once we get back over that 10-cent resistance zone, we could move an upward trend, potentially targeting 11.6. So we look at the Dogecoin chart and we're like, Where does that come from? We go back to May. May, that is 11.6 right there. Again, we need to see a higher high on Dogecoin, and that would be 11.6, and that would break the momentum. But here we see on the daily, we do see these red candles. We have a little slight green right now, the current day. But again, this was a huge move, no doubt, a 40% move up. We are going to get a pullback on Doge. Does the pullback continue, or do we sort of hang out here at this level, or are we going to finally come and look at the fib retracement back down to 816, which is this blue line right here? That would be our next support line for Doge. Meanwhile, today, it's Happy International Dog Day. So, Happy International Dog Day to everybody out there as we continue to wait. We wait for confirmation. That's where I'm looking. I know some of you are already bullish, but you know me, I keep things real. We wait for confirmation, and we don't have that yet on the Dogecoin chart. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about, is momentum lost here? Are we going lower? You still want to buy in at a lower price? I get all that. Leave a comment. Give the video a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.